Hey everyone, glad you could join us on this YouTube mailbag. We got a lot of great questions when we had our Baseball America Top 100 Prospects chat, and we're going to answer a couple of them on a couple of series here on YouTube. But the one we have today is a fun one, Jeff, because I would say that Jesus Mate, the Brewers shortstop, ranked very high in our top 100, but I would say he was probably one of the prospects who has done more to raise his prospect profile in the past year than anyone, which kind of has to be the case because at this time last year, he was just signing his first pro contract, went out and had a great year in the DSL. But that leads to this question that we got from a reader who asks, Jesus Mate pops out for his high ranking in the top 100 prospects list. What gives you such confidence in him over more experienced, advanced middle infielders like Travis Bazzana or J.J. Weatherholt? 2 first-round picks, 2 top-of-the-draft picks, the Guardians, 1 pick, Travis Bazzana, J.J. Weatherholt, the Cardinals shortstop. 2 guys who've already – J.J. Weatherholt has a college batting title in his resume. Travis Bazzana has multiple years of success at the college level. So what led us to being so excited about Mate to pop up a guy who has yet to play in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think when you look at what the overall upside is, and you're talking about 2 players that, aren't probably going to be shortstops long term. It's not going to probably happen with Bazzana. He's going to play second base. He's already moved off the position. Weatherholt might play some shortstop, but we've discussed this in the Cardinals show and we sort of broke them down. He's not going to go in there and take over for Mason Wynn. I just don't think that's going to happen.
By the way, if you see this link right now, if you want to watch that Cardinals deep dive, we've got it on here right now for you. So click that link and you can watch that and come back to this.
Perfect. So we break it down there. And I think that, when you look at all the tools that those guys have, there are some elements that are very similar. They're both guys that all 3 of them have excellent hit tools. They make good swing decisions. The age to level component of it, Mate was so far beyond the DSL. I think it's also important to put into context that we're seeing more DSL repeaters because of the lack of short season ball and advanced rookie ball. So eliminating those sort of levels, those guys will stick in the DSL a little bit longer. So it is a little bit more advanced than it probably had been in previous years. That's not to say that it's like not still kind of whacked out ball where you're seeing guys that don't throw a ton of strikes and all that sort of stuff. He's not getting sucked into chasing. And when he does swing, he makes a ton of contact and he hits the ball hard, and he hits the ball harder, much harder than what is appropriate for a 17-year-old. We don't see a lot of 17-year-olds with 104 mile per hour, 90th percentile exit velocities. And we see even less of those guys that are maybe plus contact hitters. It just doesn't happen. Even a Wander Franco wasn't hitting the ball as hard or consistently in the air when he was in the DSL. So I think that's all something we have to put into perspective. We have access to all of the minor league hit data dating back to like 2019. So we have some historical context for how unusual he was. The last guy that we popped like this coming out of the DSL, at least for myself, was Junior Cameronero. We've seen how that's grown. Could have been more aggressive on him, probably. The Guardians probably should have held on to him. But I think when you look at those skills, you look how it portends, you look at what the Brewers have done with a lot of these sort of high-end guys, and they've done really, really well in the international market. They're one of the best organizations and one of the best development organizations in the game. I think you got to factor all of that stuff in when looking at a player like this and realizing that he was way too advanced a year ago for rookie ball. And there's some elements of him that I think are better than a Leo DeVries. And DeVries has been a guy that was, the highest signed guy in that. He certainly jumped over the DSL and went to full season ball. I think Mate could have been equally as productive. Now, there's a question as to whether he sticks at shortstop long term or not. He's going to stick in the dirt. It's not like it's bad defense. But when I sort of compare him against those guys, he hasn't had much time. I mean, if he was American, he wouldn't even be eligible for the draft until this July. And these are guys that had
talking about him as a potential 1-1.
He would be the 1-1. I don't even know if there's a debate. Like, I think you probably take him over Jace Laviolette.
The reason there might be a debate, the funny thing about it is because he played in the Dominican Summer League, we actually can have a better feeling for the totality of his hit tool than we would if he was on the showcase circuit. Not that you don't get good information from the showcase circuit too. Not that you might even not have a little bit more consistency of the pitching talent that you're facing on the showcase circuit. Because let's just be honest, like that is the thing about the Dominican. I did, by the way, I looked this up. The Dominican Summer League pitching average age before 2019 was 18.3. Since the reorganization, the elimination of short season leagues, it's been like that 18.6, 18.7 average age. So we are seeing that the pitchers are a little bit older. There are more guys repeating, to kind of go to your point. But what I'm saying is yeah, we'd have a little bit more data because he's already played pro ball, a little bit more comfort with that hit tool that maybe we wouldn't be able to have.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that really does jump out with this is to go back to the question when you say, what gives you such confidence in him? I would say part of it is that I'm not saying that there aren't ways that this could go wrong. He's so far from the big league still, but he doesn't have any glaring weaknesses as he comes to the US, I would say. Like there's not this part of it where you say, a lot of times we have guys come of the DSL who are very interesting. When you talk about Junior Caminero had some really loud tools coming out of the DSL. Junior Caminero had loud tools when he came to full season ball for the first time, but he had to make additional significant strides when we were watching that fun lead-on clinching home run that broke the scoreboard in center field that Junior Caminero just hit. The other thing that stands out about him is body-wise, you look at him at the age he is, and you're like, that guy's going to play a lot of first base in the big leagues over the next 10, 15 years probably. Mate doesn't even have those kind of things where it's like there's really just not that, oh, can he overcome this? The to-do list is more of maturation and keep it up, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, when you look at just how advanced all those skills were, I wrote about this when I said that I think he could be a future number one prospect going into 2026. There was just nobody in the minor leagues that was on the same plane in terms of him dominating his level. There was nobody that had his contact rate or lower, his chase rate or lower, his heart swing or higher, and the EVs, pull side stuff, all that combination of data was just so rare. You don't see that. And I think that, that's something to sort of keep in mind when you're talking about a guy with advanced skills, but also the ability to impact the baseball. And, when you have that combination of traits, I'm always sort of going to buy into you could be a potential star. And it's sort of the same things that led us to Roman Anthony. It's the same things that led us to Gunnar Henderson and Corbin Carroll and some of those guys. They had this combination of traits as hitters that it was just a very good blend of skills and athleticism and power. You sort of need all that to become a star. And I think that ultimately Mate does.
That's why Jesus Mate, not only our Brewers' number one prospect, even before he plays a game in the U.S., but on top of that, he is one of the stars of the Baseball America Top 100 Prospects list. You can check out the full list at baseballamerica.com, in addition to full top 30s with scouting reports and tools grades for all the top 30 prospects for all 30 organizations. The Brewers have a lot of other interesting international prospects on that list. Some other names to know, but the number one name to know for the Brewers right now is Jesus Mate.